I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is All The Mons. Now, here at Rocket Labs, over the last few episodes, man, have we leveled up. As we've automated XP candies for leveling, automated candies for IVs, and automated meds for EVs. And on top of that, well, we got into mega evolutions. But there's still just been one thing that I've really been struggling with, and that is just catching Mons. That's because, well, our balls haven't been all that good. Now, don't get me wrong, my cute and adorable zigzagoons that have been kind of working their butt off to be able to produce all of these balls that I've been using thus far, this has been a fantastic farm and has provided me with some really good catch potential. But spending 5, 6, 8 minutes sometimes trying to catch a Pokemon, that adds up. So today, here at Rocket Labs, we are going to be setting up automation for just about any Pokeball. Now, over the last few months, I've been testing different methods for actually producing said Pokeballs. I've done everything from setting up the full create setup for it, and also setting up the Oritech, and I found that Oritech is probably one of the better solutions to ball production. Oh, and by the way, if you want to see some of those setups, be sure to check out my second channel, Chosen Live, where I do post my VODs from my prior live streams. And you can find all of those VODs over there. But not only is it a really good way of generating Pokeballs, it also is very thematic. It fits the Pokemon theme so well. So for us to be able to get into Oritech today, I expanded the base. And so up top here, I added another room, and this room is more open and has these nice slots that allow us to lay out some machines, which we're definitely going to need. And then we're also going to need a little bit of a space to be able to make a much larger machine that we'll get into later. Now, don't get me wrong, Oritech looks really confusing whenever you first look at this mod. There is so many machines, so many different things going on, but when you break it down into its simple components of some of the base things you need to get started with the mod, it should alleviate a lot of that stress. Before we fully dive into this, we do need to make sure we get our network from our applied energistics sort of lined out to make all of the processing easy. Also, by the way, if you were wondering what's the dimensions of this room, you can see it is 25 long by 21 wide. As far as the networking itself goes, we'll run some dense cable along the bottom edge, and then I'm just going to give myself access to some of those channels via regular smart cables. That way we can plug into things that maybe only need one channel, for example, like an exporter. And then I've also given myself some cables up here just in case we need some down the road. This is sort of future-proofing. Well, if you're wondering what some of these other decorations are, I'm using stacked white concrete, some factory blocks, and these ladders, by the way, are from Create. You take andesite, put it in a stone cutter. Same way you also get these andesite bars. And then, of course, you can't forget the metal girders from Create. Even if you don't like Create, I tell you what, it still has some of the best building blocks. Now, believe it or not, today we're also going to be working with the Power mod, and so I want to automate the production of just about all of the Power materials with applied energistics. To do this, I like to use myself a modular router, and this is just simply going to be handling the pulling of materials, but everything else is going to be handled with a pattern provider, believe it or not. And we're going to be using a lot of pattern providers today. But when it comes to automating the energizing orb, it is literally as simple as placing a pattern provider directly on top of the energizing orb. And then what you can do is you can take a cinder card and select the side, place a modular router underneath, have a puller card pull from the bottom of the energizing orb, which will only pull the finished products, and then the cinder card is going to take those items and send them back into the pattern provider, making this setup incredibly fast, especially when we add the speed upgrades. Just by placing in my niotics here, connected into the power, we have the ability to charge this up. I mean, this is just about ready to go. The only other thing to make this work and work well is to make sure we turn on blocking mode. That is going to make sure that energized still recipes, for example, stuff like this, is going to function properly. Now, also while setting this up, I started to run out of pattern space, so I'm making some extended pattern providers, and I'm just going to use extended pattern provider upgrades, which allow me to take a single row of 9 patterns and upgrade it to 4 rows just by doing this. So extending it quite a lot here. Now, outside of needing this setup later on down the road today, I also want to make ender gates, and this is going to be a much flatter method of wireless power. So at the moment we do have flux points, and flux points are great, but they do stick out, and every time you place one down, you do have to select and configure it. But it would be nice to have something that can just give things power just by placing it on it. No need to click or configure or anything. And these look really good when actually connected onto these machines. It's going to look a whole lot nicer and is just another benefit of having the power mod unlocked. To do this, we are going to need to make gates, but to be able to get really started, we need at least a single ender cell, and make sure it is a ender cell, not a energy cell. They are two different things. And so once you have yourself an ender cell, you can also make yourself a battery. I do recommend making a particular battery. We could use the same one, go all the way up to spirited, for example. It's going to take a minute just to level this up, but it should, yeah, produce us one. And then we can place this down anywhere. We open up the inventory and we have a bunch of slots here. We're really only going to worry about our first channel, and we need to give this power. So shift right click. And when we do that, it is going to give this a inventory or a buffer for the power, which is really, really nice. And then we can use a point to feed this power off of our main network grid. And this is going to now act as something that is getting powered up. It's actually going to be utilizing our current power to fill its storage, and we'll be able to draw power from this now. But this does have a limitation of 400,000 FE in and or out. So we got to keep that in mind. However, I am going to be using blazing gates most of the time, and those have a transfer limit of 20,000 per machine, and most machines will never consume more than 20,000 RF anyways. But yeah, the cool part is now I can just request some gates, and if anything needs power, I could just place one of these things on it, and it's going to pull from my ender cell network. So a perfect example of this is we have a pulverizer. It has no power, but as soon as we place this on here, you can see that it is now receiving a charge. And look how clean and smooth that ender gate is on here. Now with all that fanciness aside, we've got balls to make. Now, one of the biggest things we're going to need here is going to be steel. So you probably either want to have some steel automated with your hammer setup, or you want to set up some essence. Essence is going to be very helpful here. That's because in Oritech, steel is used a lot. Just about for every machine, it's going to require at least some sort of steel. Now, earlier I mentioned some of the things that we're going to need for Oritech. Well, we need some passive things for Oritech to really make Oritech work for us. And so, some things we are going to definitely need to get started right off the bat is going to be carbon fiber strands. This is produced from coal dust, and we can get coal dust by pulverizing just regular coal. By the way, while I was working on this, a shiny Mareep has spawned. I have no idea where the Mareep is at, but it might be near. Oh my goodness, it is adorable. What level are you? Please be low. Oh my gosh, it's only 17, and it's asleep. We may be able to just catch it right off the bat. Just having, like, we're getting super lucky with our shinies. They're just randomly appearing, and we instantly caught it. You know what? Time to get back to Oritech. This is awesome. But first, though, we need to take our shiny Mareep, and we need to put it into our shiny box. Look at that. Now, when setting up Oritech, I like to actually use the Oritech pipes. It makes things so much easier. And so we can go ahead and set up like 4 of these pulverizers right here. They are all going to be running on this, and we can set these by right-clicking to set them to pull mode. And then on the top, we can set an insert. So we can have some sort of barrel or what have you. I think a barrel might be a perfect thing to put right here. And then we can just have a pipe that's pulling out of this. And then we can use an exporter to send coal into the barrel by dragging it out of JEI. There we go. And now we have coal going into these, but we are going to need the power. So this is where, yet again, those gates come into play. And I want to place the gates on the sides that don't have these plug-in ports, because these plug-in ports are going to come in useful later. Now, once we have ourselves some coal dust, we can now make carbon fiber strands by utilizing a centrifuge. This could be our first like multi-block. Now, the way these work is whenever we place them down, like, it looks a little bit odd, right? Like there's something weird going on here. Where's the machine? And the direction that you initially place them down actually changes the rotation. So how do we actually bring this machine up? Well, we're going to need the basic machine cores in order to do this. And so whenever we place this down, we can right click on the machine. It's going to place it. And look at that. It auto assembles and has a really sick animation. And this is where I said that this mod is very thematic. Like, this definitely fits, in my opinion, this like Pokemon universe, which is like, I don't know, like post-apocalyptic, futuristic. It's got a really cool vibe to it. But what I want to do is I want to take the items from this functional storage drawer and I just want to route it over here. And the sides really don't matter all that much. But what does matter is making sure you unconnect connecting machines. Oh yeah, that's right. This does hurt you. So to do this, you're going to want to use the pipe wrench from Oritech. Notice it is sending this resource over here. But if we just disconnect like so, this should connect up no problem whatsoever. Like this. Just like our other machines, we can give them power like so. I'm going to disconnect here because they do like to look like they're connecting to the power ports. And then we'll send our coal dust into these machines. And these are just going to do their thing and produce rods, which is going to get sent into this other functional storage barrel. And the reason I'm using functional storage is actually quite important because this will allow us to easily connect it to our AE system. To do this, we're going to need a storage controller, and then we are going to use our linking tool to shift right click, and then we just simply add these containers to this storage drawer. And it is going to cover most of this space, but if we wanted to upgrade this, it's actually not too difficult to do, and just a single copper upgrade is going to be more than enough to upgrade it. To get the upgrade in here, shift right click with an empty hand and then just place it in, and the range is now much larger. Then I'll just connect a storage bus to this, and we'll make sure to set it to extract only, so we don't have to worry about anything going into our network. And there we go. This should now be viewable. If we look at Oritech, we can now see all of our carbon fiber strands. And something else I recommend doing is locking your containers. Now this section right here is almost like the beginner tutorial because then it wants you to make some more advanced things. For example, plastic sheets from Oritech. And this is going to be where we're introduced with our first upgrade for our centrifuge, giving us the ability to put water in it. And we need to get raw bipolymer. And the way we get bipolymer is by just simply using another centrifuge that has packed wheat in it. And this is going to give us that bipolymer also with a water upgrade. And packed wheat is just simply packed wheat. Let's say we have our setup like this, just like we did on the other side. And we have our machine upgrades and we get those on here. Well, now we get introduced into our first upgrades for our machines. And the first upgrades is going to be the fluid add-ons, in which we just attach to where these blue ports are at for right now. There is also a way that we can connect more than one upgrade to these ports, but for right now, we'll just place this in, and this gives us a new slot for fluids. Now, since I have AE here, to give this a source of fluid, I can just take the infinite water that we have and have this always keep water in stock. And then use something like these opaque fluid pipes to pull water out of our interface. And there we go. Next, we're probably going to want a source of wheat. I actually have wheat that is in my mystical agriculture farm, but we want to create a recipe to compact that wheat. And then we can also keep the packed wheat in stock in here. But we're probably going to put a crafting card upgrade in this just to make sure that it does the craft. And then we'll set this to keep, I don't know, 64 in stock at all times. Then we can just simply pipe the item directly into here and send it into this centrifuge. And then when this one is done, what we're going to want to do is transfer it directly to the other one. I mean, this is pretty straightforward logistics here. And so to do this, we'll transfer it like so. Now we already have the output set up. This one is not going to need an output, but this one does. And then the last thing we need to do is just give it some power. And I like to just plop these on the top there. And the crazy thing is, before you know it, you're starting to produce sheets. Now for these sheets, something I definitely recommend is duplicating the setup. And so I've done the exact same thing on the other side, and we're feeding into the same container. Now I think for completing this side over here, the only other thing we're going to need is the enderic compound, which we can get by simply just crushing up ender pearls, and it produces a lot. So by having an exporter send ender pearls out, you can see this is going to get all of that produced up quite quickly. It produces 8 every time an ender pearl gets processed. Now I can introduce you to at least our first upgrade, which is going to be speed add-ons. And these are not something that goes directly into the machines. This goes on the outside of the machine. So things can get kind of bulky very, very quickly. But I at least want to upgrade these and get one at least on the pulverizers here and get them on the centrifuge over here. It would be nice to have them on these, but I would have to remove and move my pipe connections, which is probably going to be a good idea. And you know what? This also lets me show that, yes, the pipes will connect to just about any side of the machine. And the speed upgrades go on just like this. It's going to cost a bit more power when you do this, but yes, it is going to improve the efficiency a little bit. Sometimes you might need to break your machines. Yes, so that way you can place them in a way that allows you to get those upgrades on here. Now the next machine we are going to need to get into is going to be the assembler, because we need to start producing processing units, which is going to allow us to craft just about any machine, and is also going to allow us to craft the, like, sort of the final sort of gated item, which is going to be the flux gates. So all of these allow us to get access to the late game machines, which is all going to be needed for Pokeball crafting. So processing units are a little bit interesting. Once we get this machine placed in, you're going to be able to really see the odd and ends of this thing. So what we essentially need to do is send items into these inventory slots. But this is where things become a little bit hard to manage because of the way these inventory slots work. If you put an item that goes in this slot and you happen to run out of it, well, it'll probably get filled up with another item, thus making this whole operation stop. So we need to find a way to regulate items, because unfortunately this doesn't have built-in locking for the inventory slots like most tech mods do. But I do have an idea and a solution for this that will be guaranteed and you won't have to worry about it ever again. And that is to use Laser IO, believe it or not. This is going to allow me to show off some really powerful things that Laser IO can do. So we place in Laser IO, and this is just simply like a hopper. It can pull things from one side and send to the other. It can also pull and send from the same side. And anything that's attached to these nodes or multiple nodes, we can interact with. Now, when we open this up, we should be able to see the things that are connected to it, and it is very side specific. So with Laser IO, we're going to need to use item cards if we're going to be pulling and sending items. And in this case, I want to pull items out of this interface, and I want to send them over here, but I want to regulate how many goes into each slot. So to be able to do this, we'll take item cards from Laser IO, and we're going to need 2 of them. One is going to be for extracting, which we can set like this, which is going to be more than enough. And then this one is going to be a send card, which is by default set to insert. So if we click on the side, automatically we have now assigned this to pull items out of here, and we have nowhere for it to go. And so we need to set this card up, which is going to be our sender card. What I want to do here is I want to set up a counting filter. This is where we're going to do all of the magic. And this is where we're going to put all of these items that we have listed here, and we're going to set them to just simply be 1. So for example, plastic, we drag it in, and by default it's set to 1. But if you basically hold down shift and right click, you can modify these numbers. By default, like I said, I just want 1 in here just to kind of make that very clear. And same goes for this, and also redstone. Now, whenever we put this in this side, what's going to happen is it's only going to allow 1 of those items in at any given moment, and it's not going to let any more in. And that is beautiful, meaning that it's always going to make sure that all 4 of these items make their way into this machine. Once those are in and set up, well, we can just power the machine up. Let's go ahead and give it some power in the back. Make sure that this is set to pull, and we have now automated the chips. But let's say we wanted to expand this and you wanted to add another node to the network. Well, this is where the laser wrench comes into play. And so we can shift right click to set our laser here, and then right click, and now technically these are connected together and are piped together. And so long as we know and we have a extract card, we can also use that on this side. And that extract card will just be reflected in our insert card. And so we just need to duplicate the same insert card that we had over here. And with the filters set, you're going to see it's going to kind of rotate through all of those things. Now, to make this go faster, well, this is going to require upgrades on our export card. And so to be able to do this, we need to put these card overclockers in. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll put the overclockers in, and this allows us to transfer and change the amount that it's sending. Of course, we're only going to send 1, but what we're really wanting to do is lower the tick operations that's happening in between. So that way it makes sure to fill these incredibly quickly. As soon as they're done processing, a new set should almost instantly go back in. And so, beautiful. We now have 2 of these things running simultaneously, and we never have to worry about anything breaking, even if it runs out of materials. Now we've finally made it to being able to make the flux gate, which is going to essentially allow us to make just about everything. But typically to make fluxite, you would use an indirect laser on an amethyst cluster, an amethyst bud, and it would produce this. But we can make it a bit faster if we just send amethyst directly into an energizing orb that we automated earlier. And this setup should be very quick. I mean, let's just request some and just see how fast this can actually be. Yeah, very, very quick. And using laser AO again, this is how we're going to set this up. But on this one, we are going to want to make sure that it's set to 2. And I think that that will work regardless of what slot it's in, so long as it does have 2. This may be something that we'll have to look into. But we'll put this in here, set the filter, and go ahead and pull this back out, place this back in. And is that going to work? Yeah, this is something that I thought might happen. We don't have a good way of individually defining the slots here. But because we know it can hold, well, 2 stacks in here, we can say 64 times 2 is going to give us 128. And so we could set this to 128. And then we know that it is going to hold exactly 2 stacks. And it should fill both of these spots. Oh, and actually, I might have been initially wrong. It just needs the 2 in here. So yeah, just having 2 is going to be more than enough. You don't have to do anything fancy with it. Just simply say keep 2 in and it is going to craft. I just didn't have it. I just wasn't giving it power at the time. This is great. So after getting that, let's reward ourselves. By the way, we can now change the look of Oritech machines by giving them paint. Yes. It's actually kind of cool. And so we can use this to just change the theme of all of our machines to fit that whole black and red theme. Oh, and I almost forgot. We are going to need one more assembler because to be able to make indirect lasers, which we are going to want to make several of, we are going to need some of these lenses produced. You know what? This actually might be the best setup for our kind of request processing because we don't need a whole lot of these indirect lenses. We really just need to do this on a request sort of system. So to be able to do a request system with these, it's a whole lot easier. We just set this to blocking mode, and then it will send in the exact amount needed at that given moment. And then we just need to pipe the items back into the pattern provider when they're done. And we can do this by just having it sent right back in. And it is literally that easy. And for now, we can throw on like 2 speed upgrades just to make it a little bit faster than normal. And now we can request like 8 of these indirect lasers. All of that stuff is going to get sent and automatically ready to go. We're just going to need a gate and make sure we give this some power. And as you can see, process is right up. Now, all of this has led up to the moment of truth, making the atomic forge, which is what's going to allow most of our ball automation to happen. For example, if I want to make myself a quick ball, well, we have to make brass ball mechanisms. Brass ball mechanisms are made inside of an assembler. We need ball cases. Ball cases are made by using brass nuggets and sent into the atomic forge to be engraved. Then going back, we need to make ball lids. Ball lids are made by combining yellow apricorn bits with a ball lid and all kinds of other operations that go on. But most things revolve around this atomic forge. For this, we need a room for the atomic forge. And this area is an expansion that leads out and is going to fit the atomic forge perfect, as the atomic forge is sort of a centerpiece of really everything going on. The other thing we're going to need is, well, from a foundry, we are going to need to make durathium. Durathium is made just like anything else, and requesting this item should be quite simple. So let's get the atomic forge now crafted. Oh boy. And yes, this goes in here. That's going to get produced. And there we go. So let's go ahead and set this atomic forge up. We place it down, and we are going to need some machine cores that go around it, just like this. It's going to open up, and I like to leave it 1 block off the floor so we can use like create, for example, to add some legs underneath. Just like this. After the atomic forge is in, we need to hook up indirect lasers. This is actually what's going to power it. This one does not get powered externally, or I guess with gates, for example. Instead, we have to power indirect lasers, and the lasers will power this. So you could just connect just like this up to anything and just have it pointing down. And I am going to link the target here. But what I really want to do is I want to give this an extension right off the bat. So we can use a machine add-on extender, and I'm going to place this on all of these metal girders that I have, just allowing it to come further off of the roof. And then we can place in our indirect lasers. And yes, you can place these upside down, which I think gives this a fantastic look. And then we need to, as all of our other machines, we need to get the core block. And for these, the basic core block is going to work just fine. And these things are trippy because they do follow the player when they're not linked to anything. which, I mean, you could use these, yeah, as a really cool decoration piece. Let's just look at that thing. The target designator, we shift right click on the center of this, and then we should be able to right click or shift right click onto these. So shift right click and then shift right click, and that sets their target position. So that way they're going to look at this thing and not anything else. Because yes, these can't break blocks in your base. And with that done, I am going to upgrade each of these with a single speed add-on for now. And I'm also going to hit them with power, because we do have to get power to these things. And then for us to be able to automate it, it's literally as easy as placing a pattern provider, building a pattern. We can even set it to blocking mode, and then just make sure that we have a pipe that can send the product back in. And that right there is basically the Atomic Forge ready to be automated. Now we're almost there for ball automation. I promise we are right on the cusp of this. There are two more things we're gonna have to worry about, and that is a fragment forge, which is what's initially going to break down our apricorns. And this also requires that flux gate. This is going to take up a little bit more space than our other machines over here. This is going to require a few more cores to fill the entire thing, but once it's done, it's actually a cool looking multi-block here. Look at that. But to automate it, the same thing applies. We're going to hook a pattern provider up to this, and then we're just simply going to pull the products out, send it back in, and then we also have some space for some speed upgrades. Now, I think we're almost ready to get this going, but sometimes we're going to need to take apricorn lids and then convert them down into regular lids. To be able to do this, the easiest way for us to do this is probably by using an Ender.io tank. And we can just simply wash. This is essentially replacing the washing from the create mod. The washing automation should be quite easy. We have the Ender.io fluid tank, and we place a sink underneath. We can set specific sides. So we can tell this, hey, pull water into your inventory via this method here. Then we can say, okay, I want to pull items from the barrel over here into the main inventory, which should be this slot. And then once it's finished doing its process, we then want to push the ingredients back into this barrel, which in this case, we can just use a pipe to be able to pull the ingredients back out. And it also allows us to see them and just send them back into the pattern provider. So I think it's now time to start building up recipes for at least all of the base apricorn colors. And I'm going to make a half apricorn recipe for every color, except for the ones for the All The Mons tiers, as we're going to get into those later on down the road. After getting the halves done, we can do the ball recipe right here, which we probably want to utilize, let's see, I would say washing, but this one's fine. We just have to remove the water from every process. Now that we have the ball lids in, I kind of want to test seeing if we can't craft 10 ball lids. So this is going to go off. That's creating this. And we should start seeing ball lids, which means that this is doing its operation. Yes. And is sending and working correctly. That's beautiful to see. Now we probably want to take our extended and upgrade this, because this forge is going to be handling a lot of recipes. For example, the forge is also going to be handling making bits. It's also, by the way, going to handle making all of the ball bases. Yes. After that, we need assembling, and there we go. So we can assemble all of these base balls, and for right now, I'm just going to go up to brass ball mechanisms, because to be able to do the sturdy ones, well, you need sturdy sheets, which is a process that is handled via create. Now, something that I encountered that you may also encounter, if you upgrade a base pattern provider from a normal version, make sure you break and replace it, because when items get sent back into it, it can actually void it. Which is kind of unfortunate, as I just realized. But now, the moment of truth. We should be able to craft a quick ball. Because I do have the quick ball now set up, a single quick ball should be really easy for us to make. That has now crafted up, and we have ourselves a quick ball. Let's go ahead and just craft 10 of them. This is going to kick off, and we can see all of our individual processes happening here. 1, 2, and this is where having speed upgrades and making sure we're providing enough power can help speed up this process, because we can make this go faster. This right here is transferring about 200,000 RF per tick. But like I said, we could make this go even faster. But what I will say is crafting up like a stack of Pokeballs, like honestly, those are going to last us a long time. And even if it takes like 5 minutes to craft a stack of them, that's going to last us a while. So for some early Pokeballs and being able to make any type of ball that you want, including quick balls, this is the way to go. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot, I paint bucketed all of these to match our dark black and red theme. Looks so good. And there we go. We now have ourselves extra quick balls, and I can request these. For example, I can say, hey, I want a stack of quick balls, 64 of those bad boys. All we got to do is make sure that we have apricorns available. With this now, we should be able to make just about any of the base Pokeballs, the ones that don't require sturdy casings, or sturdy sheets, that is. And so, yes, I mean, that is it. If we want to make heal balls, like, all we got to do is just make the ball lid and then also make the ball recipe, and we have it. There's not a lot of balls that I would really like outside of maybe heavy balls, which give us a really nice catch rate on heavier Mons. There's also some for times a day, but the big one to get is definitely quick balls. I tell you, this has been a really fun process of getting the balls automated, though. This was a little bit of a challenge with the create, but to be able to set it up this way with Oritech is so much easier. It may not be as fast as the create method, but this could be made really fast later on down the road. And if we substituted some of these odd and in processes like this process right here, and we had this set up with create, it would save a whole lot of time. And I think that the assemblers and stuff could make this stuff go faster. I mean, honestly, yeah, about 10 minutes at the moment is what it is taking in order to craft all 64 of those balls. So to do a stack, about 10 minutes is what's required, and that's with upgrades, and we do have upgrades on here, and I think I could even add more Enderic lasers. It's just that this process right here is not happening every tick. If it was, this would be a lot faster, as this is the biggest drawback for the whole setup. But honestly, it's great. It's great. I love this whole thing. I love that it even lets it run in the background. Looks so good as like a center point of your base, or like a center point of automation. But let me know, what balls are you going to automate with this setup? I would love to hear from you down in the comments below. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and hopefully you learned something new. And well, if you did, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And give this video a huge thumbs up. We now have ourselves 64 balls. We have the ability to now make any ball we want. Ah, it's so good. It's so good. And so, without further ado, it's time for me to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that amazing thanks is going to go out to Samba. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and supporting my content in one of the best ways possible, by getting access to the supporter servers and all kinds of other fun stuff over on the Discord. Thank you so very much. And guys, if you're interested in checking out the Discord, link down in the description below. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next episode. And as always, thanks for watching.